Good afternoon, I'm Rob Boskamp, and you're listening to South Texas Midday. Thank you for joining me on this Thursday, October 16th. Nueces County officials announced they have successfully recovered the nearly $2 million lost in an August cyber incident. County officials released a statement yesterday to announce they have fully recovered the $1.93 million in misdirected funds. The county auditor announced back in August that scammers had successfully misdirected county payments through a phishing email scam. Officials said the forensic investigation is still ongoing and do not have findings to report at this time. Last week, the city of Beeville declared a state of local emergency because of drought conditions. Officials issued an official proclamation to request state-level assistance and coordination of additional resources to address the city's water shortage. As of today, Lake Corpus Christi is at 13.9% capacity. Choke Canyon Reservoir is at 11.1%. Interim city manager of Beeville, Daniel Dorgan, spoke with the Texas Standard this week about the declaration and current lake levels.
We don't see the lake levels coming up anytime soon, and so we are proactively looking for ways to continue with our water, as well as identifying a secondary water source in the city of Beeville.
Dorgan said while water is still available and safe to drink for residences and businesses, the city's restricted how much water people can use. The city has been in stage 3 of their drought contingency plan since last December. He hopes the state can provide additional funding needed to get the city access to more water. The city plans to rehab 2 wells that have been in the city since the 1980s, as well as drill 2 additional wells that will help obtain roughly 4 million gallons per day.
One of our priorities is to really select a construction manager at risk, and so they're going to be the construction company that helps us rehab those 2 existing wells and then help us drilling 2 additional wells. Another thing to kind of reiterate is these wells will be brackish water, unfortunately, so we will have to have a reverse osmosis system on each of these wellheads. And so the first phase is going to be creating the reverse osmosis systems, the wells and the pumps, and then eventually as these 4 individual wells come online, the idea is phase 2 would be to centralize the 4 different well sites into one home site or one centralized site in a particular area of town.
The city also has a $33.8 million bond they plan to use. McAllen attorney Aissa Ilianna Garza has announced her candidacy for judge of the newly created probate court number 2 of Hidalgo County. Garza, a Mission native and 15-year attorney, announced her bid this week for the newly created court established by Texas legislature earlier this year. Garza is also a certified public accountant and certified fraud examiner. Before founding her firm, she worked as a financial auditor, auditing multi-million-dollar entities. She actively serves on multiple charitable boards that focus on South Texas's most vulnerable residents. Yesterday on social media, Naval Health Clinic Corpus Christi advised retirees and active duty personnel to fill their prescriptions at local pharmacies or through the TRICARE pharmacy due to the recent government shutdown. NHCCC stated on Facebook that it will continue to prioritize urgent prescriptions and fill them as quickly as possible. Officials said if new or refill prescriptions are affected, customers will be notified immediately. If a medication is unavailable at the Naval Health Clinic's pharmacy, they will transfer it to a local network pharmacy of the customer's choice. Customers can also have a prescription filled via TRICARE pharmacy home delivery. For more information, contact Naval Health Clinic Corpus Christi's pharmacy at 361-961-2260. In state news, early voting begins Monday, and a new poll finds the majority of Texas voters are concerned about partisan redistricting in the state. Texas Public Radio's Maria Navarro has the details.
More than 2/3 of voters surveyed by the University of Houston and Texas Southern University say drawing legislative districts to favor one political party is a major problem. 21% called it a minor problem. Governor Greg Abbott approved a new congressional map in August that aims to give Republicans 5 additional seats in the U.S. House. Almost half of voters think an independent commission should redraw district lines. The U.S. Supreme Court has said partisan gerrymandering is legal. Racial gerrymandering is not. The poll surveyed over 1,600 registered voters in the state from mid-September to early October. I'm Maria Navarro in San Antonio.
The city of Edinburg and Hidalgo County announced traffic and parking changes for next month due to construction of the downtown parking garage project. Construction is set to begin early next month at the corner of McIntyre Street and North Closner Boulevard. It will begin at downtown Edinburg parking garage. The lot will be closed to the public beginning November 5th, with construction starting the following day. One southbound lane of North Closner Boulevard and a section of West Coon Street will be closed to allow construction crews access. Pedestrian traffic will be rerouted to North 10th Avenue. Sidewalks there have been expanded for safety. Here's another reason to always strive for a good night's sleep. A new study of more than 27,000 people over several years suggests poor sleep health may cause your brain to age faster and create a brain age gap. In this installment of the KERA series Vital Signs, Sam Baker talked about this with Dr. Aissa Ilianna Garza, a sleep physician with Baylor University Medical Center.
Let's say if you're 40, but your brain age is 50 years old, that gap is a 10-year gap. The higher the brain age gap led to a higher mortality in the patient. It also led to a higher risk of cognitive decline, aka the development of dementia or other neurodegenerative disorders. The study all boils down to the fact that sleep is a possible modifiable factor that may influence brain health.
The study suggested inflammation may be at work.
They picked certain inflammatory markers, and so they would do blood work and things like that. So if there was an elevation in these markers, then they would surmise that inflammation does play a role. And they found that inflammation does play a role in about 10%. So that's what it's contributing to that overall brain age gap.
What is inflammation doing that causes this?
It's a systemic inflammation. It plays a range in many different neuropathologies. It can increase risk of having strokes and having protein accumulation in the brain. So one of those is amyloid plaques, which is seen in people with Alzheimer's disease. That's kind of how it affects the brain.
So the overall here suggestion is try to get better sleep. What's the best way or ways to do that?
The easiest one is going to be screened for obstructive sleep apnea. That can improve your sleep duration. That can improve snoring, daytime sleepiness. It can even improve sleep maintenance insomnia, which means your ability to stay asleep at night once you have fallen asleep. And those are 4 of the metrics that they used to define healthy sleep.
If you don't have that, what should the average person do to try to make sure that they are maintaining good sleep health?
Good sleep routine. Make sure you're obtaining enough hours of sleep, 7 to 8 hours of sleep on average. That is generally the goal. If you already know that regarding schedules and things like that, it's very easy to deprioritize sleep. Just make sure that you're prioritizing sleep. Now that we know a lot of things can come from poor sleep, that's one of the things that can really help.
By the way, when we're talking about poor sleep health, are we talking about something chronic, or is this something a person who, say, maybe having periodic trouble from stress every now and then might have to worry about?
The more chronic something is, the more downstream effects there may be. It can affect things like your oxygenation level when you're sleeping. So if somebody has trouble sleeping, and we know that it is situational due to stress, due to certain life events, yes, we do help to try to help that patient obtain better sleep in certain ways. However, we know that this is more of a temporary cause of poor sleep.
So good sleep health is that important to think.
Not only for quality of life because of how you feel, but it also helps to lower the risks of other comorbid conditions, like your risk of stroke and your risk of congestive heart failures. But I think a lot of times it's more of that quality of life. You want to feel like you've rested, and you want to feel like you're not drowsy during the day and you're functional during the day. So I think that's really important.
That was Dr. Aissa Ilianna Garza, a sleep physician with Baylor University Medical Center. And KEDT celebrates its anniversary this week. In honor of that milestone, we'll take a look back at some recent stories that were broadcast on our local news. Today, Lon Gonzalez takes you back to 2018 and the Art Museum of South Texas as he chats with actor Cheech Marin, who attended the opening of Los Tejanos, Chicano art from the Cheech Marin collection.
Well, I've brought a lot of paintings by Texas Chicano painters, exclusive. And I think maybe it's the first show of Texas Chicano painters that's been put together by an outside collector, not as a group show. So I have a really good association and relationship with the South Texas Museum under Joe Schenk, and it's one of my favorite places. So when they asked can we do something special, I said absolutely.
Cheech's love of art goes back to his childhood, when he admired the artwork on church ceilings. That led to a bigger discovery of many other artists in his native Los Angeles.
And so from there, I just kept studying art, and then eventually I got to contemporary art, which I knew nothing about. And so I started going around to galleries in LA, and that's when I discovered these Chicano painters. Like, oh, these guys are good. You know, it's like discovering rock and roll for the first time.
And while his travels take him to lots of places, he just recently traveled in Japan and apologized for being a bit sluggish from his trip. The best part of the Japan trip? Not being recognized.
To have anonymity over there was wonderful. I didn't get recognized once, which was disturbing and great.
And Cheech will speak tomorrow at noon at the Art Museum of South Texas Los Tejanos Lunch and Lecture. The bad news is his talk is sold out.
That was Lon Gonzalez from KEDT News. And again, that story aired on KEDT FM in 2018. You can stay tuned for more archive stories as we celebrate KEDT's anniversary throughout the week. And with the exception of that last story, that is the latest news and information on South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp, your community arts calendar, and more is on the way.